Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm back again with another deck tech from our lovely set Dominaria United, and this is one of the commander decks. Well, I say it's one of the commander decks, it's not really. One of my followers on my stream on Twitch, go down below, go and give me a follow there, and obviously, like and follow this channel as well. Really appreciate it if you could. Was trying to build this card and they weren't really happy with the way they built it. So ZachofRivia, who's one of my followers and also one of my mods on my stream, challenged me to build this. So it is Dihada, Binder of the Wills, 1 red, white, black for a Planeswalker that comes in with 5 loyalty, +2 up to 1 target legendary creature gains vigilance, lifelink, and indestructible. -3, reveal the top 4 cards of your library, put any number of the legendary cards into your hand, create a treasure token for each one that goes in your graveyard. And then -11, gain control of all non-land permanents until the end of turn, untap them, they gain haste until the end of turn. Now, realistically, if you can get the -11 off, you're winning the game. There's no answer to that, no argument at all. It is possible to do it. It can be done in something like a dedicated Super Friends commander deck, where you've got Doubling Season in play, you've got Ajani's Oath in play, so you get the extra +1 counter when it comes on. So whenever you play this, if you've got them in play, you're going to hit the 11, maybe 12, so I'm not sure how the triggers would stack. But whichever way, you'll end up with at least 11 loyalty on it, and you can minus it immediately and nick everything your opponents have in play, which is great. However, in this deck, getting there is never probably going to happen. Your commander will be a target, and you'll be lucky if you get a couple of +2 activations out of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you get to -11, you will win the game there and then. Absolutely no way else of not winning it. But the +2 is the thing we're going to be really concentrating on in the -3 to get the cards into our hand. So, how have I built this? And, Zach, this is especially for you. So, this is the deck. I'll just move this up a little bit because I haven't lined it up properly. As you can expect, we've got the usual selection of lands in, all the black-red ones. We have got a couple of other things in. I've got Reliquary Tower in as well. We've got, where is it? Temple of the False God and Urborg in. I've also, for a change, I've chucked in Fabled Passage and Field of the Dead because they're usually here. I've also included Ikijano Castle from Champions of Kamigawa. Basically, the white tap prevent the next 2 damage to a legendary creature could be really useful in this deck. So that's why that's there. They're the only real differences to the normal land setup. Then I've got the Ramping Mox, Soul Talisman, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Charcoal Fire, and Marble Diamond, along with Thought Vessel. So we can get round, if we do the -3 and we're going to have over 7 cards, hopefully, between Thought Vessel and Reliquary Tower, we won't be having to discard any of our legends. But it's not a big issue if we do. So, the rest of the deck, Legion's Landing's in because it's legendary and gives us a little blocker early in the game. Elixir of Immortality to shuffle everything back in. I say this a lot. I quite like this card. People don't seem to see the benefit of it in Commander, but I do. So you'll see it in a lot of my decks, as you've seen before. And then it's really about getting legends into play. We want to be hitting the +2 when we cast this to give one of our legends indestructible until our next turn, which is going to be really useful. So I've gone with Anafenza, I've got Jadid, Magda, Karkaloff, the Ghost Council, which I'll come back to, and Kalane in for the 2-drop for the legendary creatures. Also in the 2-drop slot, I've got Dockside Extortionist. I think I've said it in a lot of videos now. If I'm playing red, Dockside's going to be in. No discussion really about it. It's just a mana ramp card in a colour that really does, especially in these 3 pairs, it's hard to ramp in these 3 pairs. This really does help. If you can wait until your opponents have got a few artifacts or enchantments in play, I'll get my tongue untied. Getting those treasure tokens is really beneficial, so always bear that in mind. And it's still not too bad on MTGO at the moment. Real life, yes, it's going back up again. MTGO's kind of stabilised around 6 tickets, if I remember correctly. The rest of the artifacts in this played, I've chucked in Hero's Blade because we are playing Legends, so we might as well have this in to get free equip if we've got a creature coming in with haste. I've chucked in Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots because there are a couple of legends that we do want to try and keep around once they hit the play, so hence why they're here. Over on the 3 drops, Adeline, Resplendent Catharzin. This is just a nice cheap, again, a cheap legendary creature. But if you can give it lifelink and you can give it vigilance and give it indestructible as well until your next turn, it really does help, because then you've got a really good blocker just sitting there doing not a lot. The rest of the legends of this side, and I'll come back to the other page. We've got Alicia, who smiles at death. You've got a lot of creatures that've got 2 power or less, not just in the low drops, but in so some of the higher drops. So it seemed like a reasonable plan to have this in. Captain Lannery Storm, basically for the treasure that it produces when she attacks. Why not? I've put Squeeg in. Squeeg, Dubious Monarch. Yes, we always have Squeeg as a key. No, it's not a key card in this deck at all, but I think it's a key part of the mythology now and the background for all of the magic sets going on. So having this one in here and having it come back in from Dominaria United seemed like a really good idea. Plus the fact it's kind of got the Unearth ability. You pay the 3 and exile for all other cards and you get it back in play. So, it keeps coming back. Cabal's in as well. It annoys people having to lose 2 life when they play a non-creature spell. But if you can get out early and people are still ramping, you're going to get a few points off them and gain a bit of life. But it does become a big target on its head. I've chucked Judith in. Give the +1/+0, and obviously when another non-token creature dies, we ping something. So that seems like a plan. Lagomos, Hand of Hatred. That comes in as well. It gives us a token at the beginning of each combat. It's a 2/1 elemental haste. Early game it's fine, late game not so great. But the second ability is not bad. If you can search your library for a card when you've got 5 creatures have died and one put it in your hand, it may help you out. Likewise, Mahidi, Imperium Masters here. You get a treasure token for each creature that died each turn. It works very well with this because the elemental dies. If you put your triggers on the stack in the right order, you always get an artifact if you've got them both in play. And Jan Jensen, Chaos Crafters in. We've got artifacts, we're going to have treasures we can sack. We can make some creatures which can help with the blocking side of it. The non-legendary spells, well, non-legendary creatures I should say, I've put Bazuri Ket in. It gives us a +1/+1 counter on a creature which pumps them up a little bit, obviously. And it also does gives them indestructible at the end of turn. So even if your opponent's got some big death toucher that you don't want to attack into, you can make it indestructible and go that way. But it's really in here for the -2. Whenever one or more non-token creatures attack this turn, create that many 1/1 white soldier creature tokens that are tapped and attacking. It's quite a nice little thing to have with all the legendary creatures going around, so hence why it's here. Again, it's the thing, if you can get the ultimate off at the -6 with the emblem, at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 white soldier token, then put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. You're going to be basically getting lots of big legends very quickly, which is going to help. The other one that's in here, the other ones that are in here at 3-drop, Chaos Warp, just to get rid of those annoying permanents. Hopefully, you'll get it shuffled back in and they won't bring anything that's any more annoying, but it's a risk you take. And it is instant, so if you are being killed, it's a way to deal with some big gribbly creature. I've also just dropped in for the laugh factor. I thought I'd have the two of the swords in, so I've put the one in that gives you protection from white and black, and the one that gives you protection from black and red. Are they any good in this deck? I don't know, but I figured, legends carry swords a lot. Let's give them something to carry. This one, the light and shadow, is a little bit better because you do gain the 3 life and you get a creature card back from your graveyard to your hand. Sword, the sinew and steel, is really okay. Can destroy an artifact and all planeswalker. So yeah, it's all right. That does help a little bit, but hey, it's just a bit of fun because they're in the protection colours that our commander's in. Up to the 4-drops, Day of Judgment, Damnation to blow the world up. Gonti's in, so we can go and nick someone else's creatures and play them, or their permanents. Chain Reaction is another way of wiping the board clean. Ariel, Knight of Windgrace is in for the Knight's creation, and also if you get a few Knights in play, blowing things up with target creature with power X or less could be quite useful. Ratadribic of Orborg's in. I did a whole deck tech around this one. Go and have a look at it up on this YouTube channel if you haven't seen it already. But I'll put it in because we have got a lot of legendary creatures, and having them come back as token copies isn't the worst thing in the world. Soren's in mainly purely for, and I'll be honest about this, I do not expect to use this as a +1. I do not expect to get the -6 off. This is purely to go -2, give me an emblem, make my creatures bigger. Thank you very much. Likewise, the other Soren's in. This is more in for the fact that we might want to give creatures +1/+0 and lifelink. I'd really like to get this one up to -6 to do the ultimates, to make sure everyone sacrifices each opponent sacrifices a creature in their upkeep. So that's what we're going for. I've chucked in Prosper. I'm not sure about Prosper in this deck, but it does help with a little bit of card draw. It does set it up. Even if it leaves play, you can still play the card from exile. And likewise, the 1/4 Death Touch does hold back a lot of things early in the game, hence why it's here. I've also chucked in Winota. This is probably controversial. A lot of the legends we're playing, you know, Tiefling, where else have we got? We've got Gonti's Etherborn Rogue. Where else? Squeeg's a Goblin. I think Cat Devil, Gnome Artificer. You know, Elf, well, Spirit Advisor, Bart, Dwarf, Pirate, so on and so forth. It could get us a few of the creatures we need to get into play, hence why I've chucked it in here. The lower end of the deck does tend to be more non-humans, so hopefully you'll be able to drop this on turn 4 with a couple of other non-human creatures in play and then get some really good stuff in play when you do the attack trigger. Kalia the Vast is in because of what we're coming to in a minute, and it seemed like a no-brainer for me for this deck. And likewise, if we're going to play one half of the face cards from the Commander deck in Dihada, we're going to play the other half in Shanida as well to get the Sleeper Scourge in. Yeah, and giving everything, all our legendary creatures menace does really help, so that's why it's here. Runa's Blast is in to control the board. It's also a legendary sorcery, and it will just take out, exile all the non-legendary permanents. Since most of our deck is legendary, it seemed like a good way of keeping our creatures and getting rid of everyone else's. Fumigate's in just because it's another Wrath effect. I wanted some more in. God Eternal Ketra, that's nice. Get it down, play some creatures, get some nice black zombie tokens as well that help. And obviously when it dies or it's exiled, you still get it back in your library, so it does help that point of view. Burial Rites, in case we get something killed early or we get discarded. Same with Yawgmoth's Vile Offering. Vravol's Soul Tenders in to pump our creatures a little bit and, you know, manipulate our graveyard a little bit to get some of the creatures back that we may have had destroyed or have had to discard for some reason. Thalisa's in because we do create some tokens between the treasure tokens from Dockside and a Captain Lannery Storm. We do get them. We're not going to get hundreds of them, but, you know, have it in, get some spirit tokens, might help with the air defense. But the next two creatures really do help with the air defense. Lisa, the Forgotten Angel, is the 4/5 flying with lifelink, and as long when our non-token creatures die, we get them back in our hand at the beginning of the next end step. And if we kill any of our opponent's creatures, they just get exiled. So it seemed like a no-brainer to have this in. Likewise, Lisa's Shroud of Dusk is a little bit more tricky, but it's like another tax effect, which is very similar to Cabal, in that whenever a player casts a spell, they lose 2 life. Now, notice this includes you, which is really beneficial that at least this version of Lisa has lifelink. So just be aware of that. We do want to get some life gain with this going as soon as we can to help out. Going up to the 6-drop, Elspeth's in to deal with the big stuff, and then hopefully to give us some blockers in the form of the soldier tokens. Getting up to -7 would be good as well to give our creatures flying. So yeah, that's if we can, it'd be great. If we can't, oh well. Grave Titan, I had a slot left. I wanted to play something big and gribbly. It also does give us a couple of zombies, so if we've got Winota in play, we get to do that trick quite nicely and early on. So yeah, more humans. Kukushko, Kalia, Inferno of the Star, Kalia. Obviously the 2 leashes, Kalia. Primeval's Glorious Rebirth. Return all our legendary permanent cards from our graveyard to the battlefield. Hopefully we'll have a legendary permanent in play to do this with. Orca. I want to try it out. I keep umming and ahhing about trying to build a deck around Orca, but I haven't got as far as working out how I want to do this yet. So that may be coming up shortly, but I've chucked it in here because it is another one of the nice cards from, I think it's one of the box toppers if I remember correctly, from Dominaria United, so hence it's here. But it's also Demons, which means Kalia can chuck it in as well. So, hey, let's go for it. The last 2 cards in the deck, Blasphemous Act for more board control, and Rise of the Dark Realms. If we can get to 9 mana and nick everybody's creatures, considering we've sort of like got 1, 2 technically, 3, 4, 5, 6 Wrath effects, I suspect we'll be able to, you know, get the creatures back for everyone else's graveyards, and, you know, nick them and beat them up with their own creatures. Seemed like a good idea to me. So that's it. That's my take on Dihada. I hope, Zach, if you're watching this video at this stage, you've still got to the end, mate. You've enjoyed it. This is really was for you. But I'll be playing this on stream at some stage after this video's been released on YouTube. You'll see it come out. We'll try it out. We'll see if we can make it work a little bit better. I know one of my other moderator, Cadence, is also building Dihada as well. So it might be a Dihada match off one day on the stream. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the deck take. It's a bit shorter than normal. So hopefully you spent the 15 minutes or so watching this with me. Please hit the subscribe button here on YouTube. I've got up to 55. I'm still trying to get to 100. I'm getting closer to my birthday, so please come and give me a hand and hit the subscribe button. Leave a like on the video as well if you've enjoyed it. Leave me a comment if you think there's something obvious I've missed in this deck. And down below as well is my link to my Twitch stream. I'd love it if you came and followed me over there as well. But thanks for watching this. Take care, and hopefully I'll see you on Twitch soon. Bye.